So what do you get when you take sentient talking animals, mix in a little political sabotage, and add a splash of realism, and throw it all in a blender? Well, my friends, you have George Orwell's 1945 classic, Animal Farm, the story of sentient talking farm animals living on a farm who are just tired of the mean old farmer and decide to overthrow him and take the farm over for themselves and to see what life would be like if they were to run the farm. Seems simple and cute enough, right? But what if I told you that this beautiful piece of literature is actually based on real events?
This is a load of barnacles.
No, not actual sentient talking animals taking over a farm. That'd be crazy. But the story is an allegory for the 1917 Russian Revolution, the farm obviously being Russia, with the farm animals being the Russian people at that time. If you're one of the few people that read this book in high school, then you know how the story goes. I was not one of those people. Come to think of it, there's like a lot of classic literature that I'm told that was very common in high school that I didn't end up reading. Then again, I failed most of my classes, so I was probably supposed to read them. Never did it though. You're looking at a solid D- student right here. But recently, I've gotten back into my creating phase, and more importantly, my reading phase. And I've just been reading as much as possible. Just everything under the sun. And when I heard about George Orwell's Animal Farm, I was intrigued. Something like this isn't usually my cup of tea. But I picked up the book, read a few pages, and the next day read a few more pages, and the day after that, read a few chapters, and the day after that, I finished the book. It's not a very big book. It's pretty light read. But man, do I get why this book is a classic. I see why it gets all the praise that it gets. It is such a good book. It's so brisk, but the story packs such a punch. The feelings, the emotions, everything. It's gonna get you. It's gonna get all of us. If we continue to just blindly follow people regurgitating the garbage they tell us to. You'll see what I mean. Our story begins on Manor Farm, where an elderly prize boar by the name of Old Major gathers the animals to share a dream of a world where animals live free from the tyranny of humans. He teaches the animals the anthem Beasts of England and introduces the core principles of animalism, urging them to rebel against the neglectful owner, Mr. Jones. After the death of Old Major, the animals begin their revolution when one day the farmer gets too drunk and forgets to feed the animals all day. Mr. Jones is driven off his land and the animals are now free. Two pigs, Snowball and Napoleon, emerge as leaders and they rename the property Animal Farm. They establish the 7 commandments, including the most important one, all animals are equal. These commandments are displayed on the side of a barn wall for all to see. Initially, the farm prospers under the animals' rule. Snowball organizes literary classes and various committees, while the powerful horse Boxer dedicates himself to the farm's success with his personal motto, I will work harder. However, even though the farm is prosperous under animalism, we see the pigs are showing early signs of corruption, taking it easier in their work and reserving special foods like milk and apples for themselves. For a while, things seem to be going great on Animal Farm, with the only exception being Napoleon and Snowball. The two leaders seem to constantly be bickering over what to do about Animal Farm's future. The rivalry between Snowball and Napoleon intensifies over the construction of a labor-saving windmill. Snowball was in favor of the project while Napoleon was against it, and during a key meeting, Napoleon uses a ferocious pack of dogs which he has secretly trained to chase Snowball off the farm permanently. With Snowball banished, Napoleon seizes total power, eliminating all meetings and declaring the pigs the only decision makers. He used the silver-tongued squealer to spread lies, painting Snowball as a villain and stealing credit for the windmill idea. The other animals were forced into harder labor with less food as the pigs take full control. The pigs now in control start breaking every one of the 7 commandments they had once promoted. They move into the farmhouse, sleep in the humans' beds, and even begin trading with people. All things they had forbidden before. To cover up their hypocrisy, Squealer quietly changes the rules written on the barn wall. Commandments that once said, no animal shall sleep in a bed, now say, no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. To maintain control, Napoleon exercises his full tyrannical might. He forces confessions for imaginary crimes and executes animals publicly, using fear to prevent any challenge to his rule. Life grows harder for the common animals as there's now a sense of coldness and darkness surrounding them along with hunger, yet they are continuously convinced that things are better than when they were under Mr. Jones. One of the saddest moments occurs when Boxer, the lovable, hard-working horse, finally collapses under his years of back-breaking work of completing the windmill for the third time. Yes, that is correct. This is his third time building the windmill. The first time it was almost complete and a storm completely toppled it. The second time, humans who disagreed with animals running a farm for themselves decided to attack the farm and they blew up the windmill. So this is the third time that he's building it, and because of this and his old age at this point, he has succumbed to the hard, brutal work with very little food. It's even said in the beginning of the book that Boxer has the strength of 2 or 3 horses, but by the time he collapses, he's mostly skin and bone from malnutrition. While Boxer isn't dead, he is badly injured and malnourished. In an act of betrayal, Napoleon sells Boxer off to a horse slaughter and passing it off as though he's being sent to the vet. Years pass and the original ideas of the rebellion are almost entirely forgotten. The pigs begin walking on their hind legs, carrying whips and wearing human clothes, with the 7 commandments being altered down to one contradictory slogan: all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. In the final scene, the pigs are seen hosting a dinner party for the neighboring human farms. As the other animals watch through the window, they witness the pigs and humans drinking, playing cards, and arguing over a game. The pigs and humans toast and declare that Animal Farm will be renamed Manor Farm. The animals realize in horror that they can no longer tell the difference between the pigs and the humans. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a very watered down version of Animal Farm. There is so much heartache and despair and just the loss of all hope that George Orwell fits into those 100 pages that I can't. The sheer hopelessness that the animals feel as the story goes on is just, it's so heartbreaking. And there is no happy ending. Not for these animals, at least. Maybe in a couple decades, once Napoleon's out of the picture and his successors. Okay, so as I mentioned, Animal Farm is an allegory for the Russian Revolution. It's the perfect simplification, in my opinion. Mr. Jones is Tsar Nicholas II, ruling over Russia/the farm. Old Major is a combination of 2 people, Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin, 2 political ideologists who passed before their dreams of a better Russia could be fulfilled. In steps Leon Trotsky and Joseph Stalin as Snowball and Napoleon. Stalin drives out Trotsky with Stalin's secret police, aka the dogs. Stalin takes control of Russia, or the farm in this case, and all the animals/the common folk. Speaking of the common folk, Boxer the horse is the hardworking Russian people who put everything they have into their country, but due to Napoleon's twisted propaganda, that hard work is exploited till there's nothing left to give. And as for the propaganda, the sheep and squealer pretty much have that covered. The herd of sheep are the mindless masses too dumb to think much further than they just don't want Mr. Jones back. So they constantly in unison chant out their mantra, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, anytime someone tries to speak out against Stalin or Napoleon. Squealer, on the other hand, is full-on propaganda machine. Changing the commandments to fit the pigs' wants, changing the narrative of what really happened at the Battle of Cowshed, and constantly convincing the animals that things are better than ever when clearly that is not the case, but Squealer using the animals' newfound freedom, quote-unquote, as their means for their happiness in this awful time of blood and corruption and starvation is really just as despicable as it gets. There's a lot more animals in the story that I am sure fit the narrative of the Russian Revolution. However, the ones I just described are really just the bare bones of here's what you need to understand the story and what it really means. And you know, I gave you a bare bones summary of this story, but George Orwell, he really does put the fear of living under a tyrannical dictator, what that must be like as a common person. It's not something I've ever really thought about. I feel like I'm safe here in the good old US of A. Safe-ish, I guess. But this is not something I've ever thought I'd have to worry about. But after reading this book, I just feel like, oh my god, if this, at any point, if there is even a chance of this happening, I better be prepared. This is a very, very haunting, I didn't even think this was going to be a scary book, but to look at what life could be like, this is terrifying. And this isn't even like a prediction of the future. This is the past. This is stuff that's already happened. But with the way things are, not like it's anything near as bad as what's going on in this book or 1917 Russia. But man, this book just kind of shows you what happens when you don't do anything but just be complacent with hoping for the best. I mean, the story starts with the farm being named Manor Farm, being changed to Animal Farm, and then when the pigs take over, they basically become humans in and of themselves again and change the name back to Manor Farm. And the animals are right back where they left off. And you know, in the story, this happens because the animals are animals. I mean, they are sentient and talking, but a lot of them are animals. They don't think very well. They can't. Their memories only last about like a couple days at most. A lot of them can't even grasp more than a couple letters of the alphabet, let alone trying to read anything. So in their case, it's understandable how they were tricked, how they were coerced into thinking a certain way for a long time until everything just went back to the way it was. I think George Orwell tries to tell us, if you decide to be just complacent, don't do anything, just throw your hands up and be like, all right, I gotta follow what's happening, you're gonna end right back up in a hole where everyone fought tooth and nail trying to fight themselves out of, and you're gonna be right back there. This story is so good, even though it's so bad in the bleakest, darkest sense. I urge you to read it, or even if you're at work and you have headphones, listen to the audiobook. It's like 3 hours long on YouTube. It is well worth it. And you know the thing also, George Orwell went like back to back 2 home runners with Animal Farm, and I think right away after that he did 1984, another political dystopian horror narrative. I guess it sounds horrifying. This guy was big on tyrannical dictatorship. He did not want any part of that. I think he loathed it. Like that was just, that's what these books are about. Him just putting that stuff up front and center to show how ugly it is. And I'll tell you something else. After reading this, I am so looking forward to that Animal Farm movie coming soon. Why, Andy Serkis? Why? You are so beloved. I bet it's not his fault. Why? Just why? And you know, on top of the movie coming out, there is like a really old cartoon movie. I think it's from 1954. There is an animated film. I believe it's about like an hour and a half. I think like 80-90 minutes. Its telling of the story is probably on par with mine. But if you want to get like an idea of Animal Farm, like the briefest idea, it's there on Amazon Prime. I think it was way more of a happy ending type situation. It wasn't as it didn't have the full dread as the book does. There's also a 1999 political comedy. So that was a comedy too, because the 2025, 2026, whenever it comes out, that's also a comedy. Do these people all think that this movie's a comedy? Do they really think that this is Babe? Or, yeah, what, do they really think it's Babe? Because it's not. If I had the means to animate, I would totally just dedicate 2 years of my life just to try to animate this into a movie. It'd probably take a lot longer than 2 years. But a 60-minute animation to try to make it as best as possible, to give you the feels of the harrowing bleakness. I would love to do that if I could learn to animate. But yeah, I think that about wraps up Animal Farm. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. Hello there. If you're watching this, you've reached the secret ending. Yay! Hooray! Oh my goodness. If you made it to this whole video, thank you so much for sticking around. If you would like to leave a like, that'd be very much appreciated. Also, if you'd like to check out any of my merch, like the shirt I wore in today's video, along with this shirt I'm wearing right now, this new Bad Apple Core shirt that I love very much. This is personally my favorite one of like all my shirts I've made so far. I will have a link in the description of this video, as well as a link in my YouTube channel. So join me next time when I'll be covering the 2021 horror stop motion movie Mad God. Until next time.